Today, we will be going into vocabulary. It is very important that we have a common understanding of the terms that we will be using throughout this workshop. This is hopefully to prevent misconceptions and hopefully answer any questions that you might have. You have 1 minute to only look at the terms in bold. Put a star next to new words and a check mark next to any word you have a question about or want to check in on. Your minute starts now. Time's up. Let's discuss the terms you starred. Now, we will be looking at the definitions. Let's go over some of them together.
Okay, now that you have your basic vocab in order, we're going to talk about some do's and don'ts and how to make sure that when you're speaking, your language is the most inclusive that it can be for the LGBTQ plus community. So the first term we're going to talk about is hermaphrodite. So back in the day, this was an appropriate term to refer to someone who had maybe both sets of genitalia or a mixed set of genitalia in terms of biological sex, or maybe it's just their genitalia was a little bit ambiguous. So people would say hermaphrodite. That really has a stigma attached to it and became more of have a negative connotation. So we want to use a term that's used a little bit more in the medical community, and that is intersex. So intersex is now the term that we use instead of hermaphrodite. Again, because it indicates more of a medical term. Term number 2, this is one I had to kind of teach my parents to stop using when I first came out. They would say very proudly, our daughter is a homosexual, right? No, homosexual, not a great term. Especially if you go back into the history of the word. It was given to the community. The community did not choose it itself. It also has a negative connotation, and it makes us, a lot of people, me at least, a little uncomfortable. So if you're talking about, if you're trying to, if you naturally want to say homosexual, just say gay, okay? That's a little bit easier. It isn't as, doesn't have the stigma and connotation with it again, and it's a little bit more inclusive. So we're gonna go with gay instead of homosexual. Now this is something that I actually sometimes do, so this is kind of new for me and something that I need to work on. So, and I'm kind of well versed in all of this stuff, and that's just an example of you can always be learning. Obviously I'm in the LGBTQ plus community, and I've studied this as part of my dissertation and things, but one thing I do say quite often is born female or born male. I use that term. That is a no-go, okay? So that's something I'm gonna need to work on. Other times you might hear someone say female-bodied or male-bodied. Again, not the best term to use, okay? So instead of saying born female or born male, we want to say assigned female at birth or assigned male at birth. And that basically more accurately describes what happens at birth, because essentially in a birth certificate you are usually assigned male or female. You aren't necessarily born that way. So that was a good learning experience for me, just as I prepared for this. Assigned male or female. So just that one word, born versus assigned, can make a big difference. So that's something I'm going to be working on. If you're kind of talking, and I've had my grandpa do this once, and usually people don't mean anything by it, but they'll be like, oh, there's a gay, or there's a transgendered person, right? We kind of, using the article before the noun, right, is not so great. So gay and transgender are adjectives that should describe a group or person, so not a noun. Where if you're saying a gay, a transgender, you're turning it into a noun, and it's just kind of awkward. And it really, honestly, kind of makes you sound not cool. So instead of saying a gay or a transgender or a bisexual, just say, you know, a transgendered person, a gay person, a lesbian, okay, right? So we're gonna say on this one, don't say a. We're gonna go to negative on that. Okay, we gotta get rid of it. We're about halfway through. It's similar though with transgendered people, normal people. If you say, oh, I have a couple friends who are transgendered and then I have my normal friends. You might not mean anything by that, but if you're classifying transgender, or I have my gay friends, my gay best friend, and then I have my normal best friend, all right? That, of course, makes the gay person or the person in the LGBT community seem like they're othered, and we don't want to do that. So there really is no such thing as normal when it comes to sexuality. As we were going to talk later on, like, sexuality is a very fluid concept. So there's not a normal sexuality or sexual orientation or even sex or gender, right? So classifying one group as normal, another group as somewhere on the LGBT spectrum, not so great. So again, I'm just going to kind of put like this whole normal adjective as, boop, we want to get rid of that. All right. And then we have both genders or both sexes. So really that creates a dichotomy, right? Or a dyad where it's like you have male or you have female, right? Or you have a man or you have a woman. But when you say both, that indicates two, okay? And really, like we just said, it's a whole spectrum when we're talking about gender and sexuality and biological sex. So we don't want to imply that there are just two. So if you're talking about different genders, different sexes, or orientations, just say all genders, all sexes, all orientations. So we want more to be all genders is how we want to look at it. 3 left, all right? We have, ladies and gentlemen, can I have your attention, please? No, not good. I do that all the time at practice. I don't do it with gentlemen, but all the time at practice, I tell my team, ladies, gather up, get up, and nope, not a good habit of mine. So this is one I've been aware of, unlike the born female and male that I was not aware I was doing. This one I'm aware of, and I'm slowly trying to chip away at that and get rid of getting my women's team together by announcing ladies come over, okay? Or even saying women come over. You know, I'm trying to get used to being like women's team come over, men's team come over. And it's taking time, right? This stuff doesn't happen overnight. It's all about trying to try and slowly chip away at those things that are habits, and show that you are trying to be respectful. So really we want to get away from this binary language of one or the other, right? So all these kind of, the last couple that we've talked about is all about fluidity, right? Someone might not want to be called a lady if you have a non-binary person on the team, or maybe I just don't like the term lady, first of all. I have friends who've liked that, where I've used that term for them, and I actually really insulted one of my friends in college by calling her a lady, because she's like, do not call me a lady. So, as a side note. So ladies and gentlemen, no. So everyone, folks, y'all, people, whatever. Ladies and gentlemen, probably not so great. And I think a lot of people know this next one, mailman, fireman, policeman, right? Anything with man at the end, you can probably figure out a better way to say it. And I think we're a little bit more familiar with that because of the feminist movement. that was trying to get away from that in the first place, but it also has a direct impact on the LGBTQ plus community, again, because you're specifying a specific gender or sex when really it's all very fluid. So you can say a firefighter, a male clerk, a police officer. It doesn't have to have the man or even the woman. Like if I want to say, oh, I saw a police woman came to my door, that would be equally as not good to say as saying a policeman came to my door. A police officer came to my door, okay? That's going to be a better way to state that. And the last one, when you're referring to someone and maybe you don't know what their pronouns are, or it's a group of people, it's okay to just say they. You don't have to say he/she anymore. You can refer in the singular sense when we're talking about grammar. They is now acceptable as a single, like non-plural, okay? They used to only be used as a plural pronoun. They officially now can be used as a singular pronoun, which is great. And it makes academic writing a lot easier, and the APA has accepted this in terms of academic writing, and so has the Newspaper Association. So we can now use they. We don't have to put he/she on things. If you don't know, you look at someone and you're serving them, maybe you're a waiter or something, and you're giving them something and you don't know, you can't tell if they're a man or a woman, God forbid, right? You can refer to them as they, and it's fine. And this is a great change in our society.